Welcome back to the rest of the story. Well, guys, it is time for field work. And as you guys can all see, that's pretty well self-explanatory. Ryan is getting this groundwork down so Dad can go through and get it seeded. The field worked up really nice. Almost too nice, I'd almost have to say, because the soybean stubble, we hit that with the disc twice, and that, for how soft it was almost too much. But it worked down or seeded down really well, and well, I have a video coming out also that'll show me harrowing it or getting it smoothed out after Dad seeded it. But we are using the 630. The 630 does not have the rolling basket or any harrow on the back of it to smooth out the ground behind the disc blades or to kind of take some of the air out of the soil, because that is one trait of this machine or this implement, and that is that it likes to leave the soil kind of fluffy, almost like a pillowcase. As you go through and step on it or walk through it after it's been hit like this, you sink in a couple inches and you're packing the soil back down. The VT, not to take anything away from the 630 here, but the VT Earthmaster with the spiked disc gang that it has on it, including with that large rolling basket, because that VT, the Earthmaster, really does have a larger rolling basket on it compared to some other implements I've seen. I think John Deere, their basket is fairly small. It's not as large, and I've heard that they like to pack with mud or dirt better than that Earthmaster does. That Earthmaster hasn't packed up with dirt at all for us. Those rolling baskets are known for, if you get into muddy conditions, they are known for packing full of dirt, which a lot of people are going to say that, well, if it was muddy, you probably shouldn't have been out there in the first place. That is true. That is very true. But sometimes you have a low spot in a field that is dry, like if you can see to the right of the screen, that is a waterway. We went through and we tore them all up, but the grass waterways tended to be a little softer because it is kind of like down in the bottom. It is at the bottom of the field, and the whole reason why Ryan went through and worked all the waterways up, that's what he's doing right here, and tearing them up is so Dad could go through and reseed them properly. Years of tillage, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years of chisel plowing, it's just the nature of that job. When you go to pick the implement up, every time you do that, pulling it into a waterway, you're depositing just a little bit of dirt at the end of the strip, and that's kind of what happens is you gradually end up migrating the grass waterway to either side of it. And back when we were doing a yearly rotation where every few years our hay ground got shifted on every farm, it really wasn't that big of an issue. It really isn't that big of an issue now. This farm in particular, the waterways have always been kind of off. So what we did here, Ryan went through and he hit a few of them a few times, and you're going to see him, he's going to fold the disc up to put all the weight on the main frame so he can really dig in. He's doing his best to work up any of these soil sod clumps is what they really are, and those root balls in grass really don't like to work up that nice. Even when you chisel plow, when you go through and chisel plow sod or alfalfa ground, typically you always have to hit it twice. Maybe some of my viewers, some other people around here don't hit sod ground more than once. We typically do when we work it up. We have no-tilled into sod ground before. That does work with proper management. We've had issues before with getting it sprayed down and the spraying didn't take, or we've also heard of guys that have sprayed down their alfalfa in the fall, and the problem is that by spring that ground gets so dried out, and we all know that alfalfa ground is, it's driven over numerous times throughout the year. And you look at an alfalfa field that's been in alfalfa for what, 5 years, if you're lucky. Well, in good management, 5 years of alfalfa is what you really should expect. But that ground can get really compacted, and then guys that were spraying the alfalfa down in the fall, by spring it dried out that surface so much that without that moisture that the alfalfa plant was keeping in the soil, the ground got as hard as concrete, and guys were having problems getting the planter to penetrate, being able to plant the seed properly. And here is Ryan. He's picking the wings up. It's putting more weight onto the main frame, and it's allowing him to dig in and really break up these waterways. Right now he's disking where this is actually going to be planted to corn on either side of him. And it's just we're getting the waterways put in where they need to be. Because, let's be honest, we may not, after we get this ground seeded down, this will be the last time we work it for, well, hopefully up to 5 years. So you want to get it done right the first time. And that's purely what he's doing. It's kind of a trick most farmers, I imagine all farmers, are aware of. You get more weight on the main frame, and that will really cut in. This 8235R, what can I really say about this tractor? It's been a really nice tractor. Other than a busted window, it has been really reliable. I do have an oil leak on the front of the radiator that looks to be, it's just like an O-ring, so I'll have to look at that. But I cleaned it all off, and that's why Ryan ran it today, for the simple fact that he runs it for a little bit. I'll be able to get a better idea where it's leaking from, and definitely get it figured out before we go through and start using the 82 heavily for planting corn and beans. Because the 82 does 100% of our spring seed prep work when it comes to our row crops. That tractor does run pretty well around the clock when it is needed to. I mean, I've said it in the past. Last fall, I put all of our anhydrous on in 28 hours straight. I stopped basically just long enough to change the tanks. I started at 6 o'clock one night, and I ran until, was it 10 or 11 o'clock the next night. And yeah, I wanted to get it done because it was what, the 1st or 2nd of December, and I was really pushing to get all of our anhydrous on because I wanted to go through and chisel plow the next day, because I got done chiseling the next day, and I believe that's when the ground pretty well froze up tight. So we did really good going into 2018. All of our fall work was done that we had available. I do have some chisel plowing to do, and honestly, I don't know. I may just put the 82 on it, on the chisel plow. People were looking forward to hearing the 4640 bark when it was on the chisel, but it's probably 6 to 7 hours of chiseling that we have to do, and the 82, it can go another mile or two faster than the 4640 can. Plus the front wheel assist, it pulls the chisel better. That's no way to sugarcoat it. It pulls the chisel better. It's a heavier tractor. It's roughly around the same horsepower, give or take. I mean, the 46 is turned up to 225. The 82 is 235, but we never did dyno it. It would be interesting to know what this tractor is putting out at the PTO. But yeah, I don't know how many laps Ryan's made right now. Was this the 2nd or 3rd? The 630 throws a lot more soil sideways than the VT, which the 630 is really meant to. They say, people say it causes compaction, it's terrible for the soil, but we're raising quality crops. I mean, it's not like we're raising 150 bushel the acre corn and 30 bushel the acre beans. We must know what we're doing to a certain degree, because the yields we're getting are showing it. So I mean, if it works, don't fix it, I think is the best way to say it. People have been challenging us to try no-till. We have tried no-till. We are doing no-till, and the no-till ground is more of a problem child than our conventional till ground. I honestly believe that if I could have at least hit it with the VT just once and mellowed that top of the ground out in the spring and planted into that, I wouldn't have had the issues I had with it the last couple of years. But no-till is no-till, and I'm not it's rented ground, so I'm not really allowed to do much soil movement to it other than really plant it. But I knew that when I took the ground on, and I don't know, I'm just different management for conventional till and for no-till. But that concludes our spring oats seeding tillage work video. I have a couple more videos you guys can look forward to. Seeding is tomorrow night, and then harrowing should be the following night. So until tomorrow night, take care, take it easy, keep in touch, guys. I appreciate you watching.